From the arena to the front office, this is Scoreboard. This episode is powered by Swyftx. Hi, it's Chris Titley here. On today's episode of Scoreboard, I'm joined by Duncan Armstrong in person on a beautiful Brisbane morning, Tuesday the 8th of July, 8:11 a.m. Duncan, how are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. It is actually the 45th today, is the 45th anniversary of Origin 1 in 1980.
Arthur Beetson was captain, I seem to recall.
Hardy running out there with his dodgy knees.
And then tomorrow night in Sydney.
Decider.
How are we going to go?
I think we're going to go really well. Like Kevin Munster's a bit of a setback with his dad, Stephen, passing away this week. So there's going to be a lot of emotion. But yeah, there's always a lot of emotion around Origin. It just having a grieving captain is a whole different element that probably we haven't seen in 45 years, that's for sure. So, yeah, I feel for Kevin Munster's family at this time. What'll it do for his performance? We'll have to wait and see. New South Wales is a fantastic team. We've made some interesting we've dropped our captain in this series. Cherry Evans, the first time since Trevor Gilmister in 97 that we've dropped a captain. But they've got such an amazing team. Like right across the park, they've almost got us covered in every single position. So, it's kind of a little bit like Fatty Vorton's Neville Nobodies.
Yep. That was in the ARL, I think it was.
Yeah, that was during the war.
Yeah, that's right.
During the war between the NRL and Super League.
Super League, yeah.
But
the Perth Rams.
Yeah, that's right. The Mariners.
Adelaide Rams.
Adelaide Rams.
The Perth.
The Mariners.
What was the Perth?
Western Reds.
Western Reds, that's right. Yeah.
No,
the Hunter Mariners, yep.
Hunter Mariners.
Yeah.
The Crushers, the South East Queensland Crushers.
Choo-choo. Yeah, get on the train.
Yeah, I did the dirty on them. So, yeah, it's an interesting time.
You're a league fanatic?
I'm a tragic, yeah. I'm a league tragic.
Does that come from early days of your youth? You're kind of watching
I played a little bit of junior rugby league. I played in a curtain opener at Brown Park under lights in 1980 against Rod Wishart and
his son's
Harrigan.
Good players.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
So, and his another son's playing now too. So, yeah, I had a little bit of history in the underages and really got a feel for it and fell in love with it and never not been in love with it. So,
growing up in Rocky, who was your team? No
my
Cowboys back then.
No. Parramatta.
Okay.
They were winning a lot. They won three grand finals in a row. So it was a hard one. But we didn't get many games up there. You had to get lucky on TV to get the Sydney games, and you listened to it on the radio. And so Norman May was ABC Radio National in those days, and you'd get a bit of Frank Hyde and stuff like that. But we didn't get a lot of games. We got all the grand finals, and back in those days, my two brothers and I would run outside and during halftime because it was played in the afternoon. So you'd run outside and recreate all the tries, even the slow motion. And I remember Dad looking out the window going, "What are you doing with that slow stuff?" He goes, "It's slow motion replay."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh."
It brings back memories of actually this year's Boxing Day Test match with Sam Constance, the cricketer, doing those reverse ramp sweeps to the fast bowler, and then literally at the lunchtime, my kids are out there going, "Oh, show me do a Sam Constance." Like, oh, there you go, just the full circle of sport connection.
Yeah. Little fellas, I think young blokes love recreating things, and sport gives you the license to act like your heroes. And so if you've got any theatre in you at all. Yeah, you usually imitate your champions, and you see LeBron James, and you see the big markets overseas with the NFL and the NBA, and then you see our guys doing the exact same thing. Remember the Netflix Untold Story of Johnny Football?
No.
Johnny Manziel.
Watch the 30 documentary on ESPN.
Yeah,
30 for 30.
Well, have a look at Netflix Untold, and they've got Florida's rise to power in college football. They call it Swamp Kings.
Oh, is that the one where the Handsy Cronje is one of them? The cricketer?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
could
and
be.
then there was a match-fixing one as well?
Yeah, it could be.
About the referee?
Yeah, so there's about 30 of them or something like that. And, you got the massacre at the Palace or something like that.
Oh, yes, the Detroit, Indiana. Yeah.
So you got that
Malice,
one.
The Malice at the
Palace, yeah. Yep. And so Johnny Manziel was Georgia Tech quarterback and got in trouble for gambling and a bunch of other things. He got up to a lot of mischief, but he had this, he'd come out and say, "Show me money," when he'd score a try or score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then, the Brisbane Broncos are doing it the next weekend.
Yes.
You had Renault doing it, and you had half a dozen players and half a dozen teams doing it. So sport gives you the license to imitate your heroes or to act. And there's a lot of euphoria that goes with sport. Scoring a try in the NRL in front of the home crowd is, top shelf. So it's interesting seeing the players act and play and be gregarious in their big moments and things like that. And we got 27 rounds of it and 17 teams, so bring that on.
Speaking of heroes, did you have a hero growing up?
Yeah, Wally Lewis. Wally Lewis was a hero of mine. Harry Butler, In the Wild with Harry Butler, an ABC guy. He was a hero of mine. We used to watch him and overdose on him on weekends in Rocky. And so I thought I wanted to be a naturalist or a rugby league player in that order. And so didn't do any of those things, but it was good to have heroes in the early days. In swimming, I admired a lot of people. Laurie Lawrence, my coach, sort of took us along the mindset pathway of don't create heroes because they're very hard to beat. And so they were a lot older than me and I never raced them. So people like Steve Holland, the Mean Machine guys had an influence on me, like Neil Brooks and Greg Fasala and Mike Delaney and Graham Brewer and Mark Stockwell. They all had a really, really strong influence on me. I admired them a great deal for what they were doing and how fast they were doing it. They were my heroes.
And when you were playing rugby league and mimicking all those things in the backyard, you jumped in the pool at some point in time. Do you remember the first sort of iteration with water and why you sort of morphed to it?
Yeah, I wanted to be in control. So swimming is the most controlled sport you can find. The 50-metre pool hasn't changed since the 50s. The lane width hasn't changed since the 80s. The blocks haven't changed since the 90s. The strokes haven't changed since the 30s. And so it's pretty straightforward. You swim up, you come back, and touch the wall first, second, and third. No one's allowed in your lane. You can't get out of the lane.
So
So it's all about control.
Yep.
And I played a rugby league game under 13, and I played really well, and we lost. But I didn't really like that feeling of being out of control and not being able to influence the ultimate score. And then about 2 weekends later, I went down and had a swimming race in Brisbane for the Pacific School Games, and I won. I won the 50 free. And that feeling on top of the podium and the view from the top of your podium that I am responsible for really had an effect on me. And swimming became it. Whereas I think that win selected me into swimming. If I didn't have that win, maybe I'd stick with rugby league. You can speculate all you like. But I really like that control of being able to be in control of my destiny. And then, looking at the gaps that I had at the time and working on my weaknesses and get better and better and better. And not long after that, I found a really strong influence in my life and still is Laurie Lawrence. And Laurie had a philosophy and a worldview that, I found really attracting. And he had put together a squad that I really wanted to fit into. And then I really wanted to be the best of. So the first goal for me was to beat my brothers, my two older brothers in swimming. And then the next goal was to be the fastest swimmer in the club in Rockhampton, the Rocky Amateurs, on a Wednesday night. And then the next was to be the fastest kid in Rocky, and then Central Queensland, and then Queensland, and then Australia, then the world. So it sort of progressed through that in structure, like, set goals, set times, PBs, it's all about control.
A couple of things there. The competitiveness, where'd that come from?
My dad, Laurie, was a good swimmer.
Dad, Laurie, Coach Laurie.
Yeah, no, all control. No. Maybe
Is it the brothers, you reckon?
Yeah, look, I wanted to do well. I was the fourth child out of five. I've got a younger sister, Philippa. We're all about 2 years apart. So tight family and highly competitive. Mum and Dad, I think, competed against each other a bit. We had this strong family culture of competition. So, and it's gotten us in trouble in terms of loving relationship amongst us and things like that. So we're not the most loving family you'll find. So the competition is still real. It did set me up to understand the battle a little bit more. I really enjoyed seeing my name in the program. I really enjoyed seeing my name in the final. I really enjoyed being world ranked and getting that world ranking certificate in the mail and things like that in the olden days you used to get. I really enjoyed, being in the paper and people seeing my achievements and thinking good of me. So, other people's opinion have always been a very, very strong trait for me. So as I progressed and as I improved, there was more of that, and I wanted more of that. So it became sort of like, how do I get more of that? Well, you train harder. Okay, let's do that. And so for me, it was very straightforward. You get, it's meritocracy. You train hard, you improve, you win. The riches are yours.
Couple of things again. Goal setting. You sounded like you were a reasonable goal setter from an early age.
Yeah, I was a nutcase.
Yeah, I mean, that's something which I've only just started doing, I suppose, in my mid-40s.
How does it feel?
It's a little bit cathartic because you sort of, but it also structure as well about like where am I going and why. And it's only really because of Scoreboard and the athletes and people that I've met that had these goals or big, hairy, audacious goals. I'm interested in whether there was that number one in the world early on, or whether it's like, no, I just want to be the number one here. And when you took that step to go, right, I want to be number one in the world. Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, you're probably feeling it the same way. Like when you hang around eagles, you're sore. If you hang around turkeys, you start gobbling. You know what I mean? So every group that I wanted to be amongst were better than me. And I aspired then to be in that group and then above that group and on to the next group. So I've always been very, very good at identifying, hey, that group looks like it's going somewhere. I want to be part of that. Or, goal setting gives me intent, gives me structure, helps me with my procrastination, helps me with my traits, personality traits that I definitely have. And you can do a psychological test, like whether it be Jordan Peterson's or the Enneagram or DISC or Myers-Briggs or, there's millions on the market. And it all comes out strongly what my traits are. And, I'm very enthusiastic. I'm very extrovert, but I got a great level of self-reflection and some other things that sort of like spell out that I really care about where I'm going and what people think. So I'm prone to that. And I'm going to use that to my advantage. So what am I prone to? Get in your flow state and get on with it. And don't get confused about what you're not and then trying to be something you're not. So in the 80s, we had a lot of coaching staff, and this was the psychology of the time as psychology was growing in the 80s into sports psychology. Work on your weaknesses. But then that all flipped on its head because they're like, we're getting all these athletes out of their flow state working on their weaknesses. And if we double their weakness, it's still a weakness. It's just not as weak. Whereas if we double their strengths, there's world records and gold medals, right?
Paul Roos calls it his superpower, doubling down on his superpower, just focusing 100% on what he was good at. Not 100%, sorry.
Yeah.
I rephrase. Spending a lot of time on what he's good at to be remembered for something versus, and the analogy was Steph Curry, the basketballer.
Yeah.
Like he's a good stealer and he's a good defender and he's a good rebounder. But his three-point shot is the best in the world.
He's a shooter.
Yep, he's a shooter and he'll double down on that.
Yeah.
So double down on your strengths. And when people identify weaknesses, what do you do?
What do I do when they identify them in me? I take notice of it. I don't let my ego sort of dismiss it. As a young bloke, I would sit there and just basically cancel them and say, don't know what you're talking about. Yep. Whereas, and it's in my nature to have a really strong ego, believe in myself and stuff like that. So I've been given some fantastic advice that I've never taken. And so I look back at that and, that's basically part of my weaknesses in terms of my traits and how I trust people or not trust people, good and bad. So, when I don't trust a bad person, that's really good for me. But that same lack of trust will be applied to someone who's got something useful for me as a person, and I'll miss it. Okay. So I have to be aware of that, and I have to constantly sort of open my mind to other people's opinion while feeling safe. Okay. Because that's where the lack of trust comes from. So, these are all the things that you've learned. And I've learned them from coaches and psychologists and parents and business partners and business coaches and stuff. So sitting here in my mid-50s, I'm probably the best I've ever been at accepting advice and best I've ever been to having an open mind with a lot of things. Like I said just earlier, the control thing for me was very, very important to keep me safe. And so when I'm looking at swimming, I'm not listening to a lot of people. I've selected the people I'm listening to, and come hell or high water, that's the way we're going. And if it's proven that I'm not fast enough to win a gold medal, or if I'm not fast enough to break a world record, then I'll reassess at that time. But I pretty much sorted out Laurie Lawrence early, around 14, and I was with Laurie for the next 10 years. I've had 45 years of therapy because of that. But he was definitely the guy for me in terms of my strengths and weaknesses in my traits. And he was able to help me develop myself to a point where I felt that I could stand up at the age of 20 and take on the best in the world, 3 world record holders, day one of competition at Olympic Games, and the first time I've been in the Olympic pool and win. And so that is a journey of trust. That's a journey of hard work, perseverance, and an audacity to think that way. So, he was the guy for me to actually develop all of those strengths and march into the cauldron.
What was it about Laurie that attracted you to him, and initially at 14 to think this is a coach that could, I relate to? I, have therapy for probably all this sort of, but that there's a connection there, that it's not just, and there's a trust, but you mentioned the trust to go, if I do this, I will become this. Anyone can say that, but why? And Laurie said it, and you go, well, actually, I believe it.
Because Laurie lived it. Laurie has an enthusiasm that you'll rarely find. Like there can't be 2 Laurie Lawrences. There's just not. And so he really lives his ethos. And, he's a man. He's got other problems and things like that. And, he's had to deal with them. But the story of Laurie Lawrence is fascinating and so attractive. And so for a young guy needing the investment, you couldn't have picked a more colourful, dedicated, devoted, enthusiastic, extrovert in a very boring sport. Like if you've done 2 swimming sessions in a row, you know how much of a grind it is. It is boring. You go up, you go back 200 times a session. And then, have to pile the pressure on and get better at it and better at it and better at it. And every day you're basically judged how good you can go 200 laps, right? And so into that comes this flamboyant, articulate, educated coach who really wants to grow people. Like Laurie, I'll give you a Laurie Lawrence story that gives you a bit of a snapshot. We're shooting an ad for Telstra at Homebush, and this is just before the Sydney Olympic Games, around 2000. Maybe it was after 2000. But anyway, we're sitting there. We've got a full crew, where they've got heated towels, and it's beautiful. And
not like the Scoreboard set up here. You get a flat white though.
It's not like advertising here. So anyway, we're sitting there, we're on the side of the pool, and the whole ad is he pushes me in. I'm in a full suit, or it was for actually Fox Sports. So I'm in a full suit, and it's all about getting the right comments, And so we have to do it 2 or 3 times, which means we set up 2 or 3 times. And on the other side of the pool, in lane 0 or 1, is this young coach with about 15 swimmers. Okay, and it's a junior squad, and he's watching her. He's just drawing his attention. And then we go for a break to set up again, and we've lost Laurie. We come back 10 minutes later, and Laurie's gone. And then we see her, and he's over there, and he goes, "Now, darling, you've almost got 3 or 4 good swimmers here. If you just get them to do this and this, so he can't stop. Anytime there's a kid in the water, he wants them to do better. He wants them to take them to the next step. So he's a born teacher, okay, and he is a teacher by trade. He's a chalky by trade. But he just can't stop. He loves investing in young coaches. He loves investing in coaches of any description. He loves investing in swimming. He loves investing in swimmers, no matter how they present, multidisciplinary swimmers, all of them. He just loves improving swimmers. And so that's been kind of his life mission without being defined that way. And so, you come into the pool and he's ready. He's up. It's like you at this podcast this morning. You're ready. You're going. A lot of similarities. And so, and that's very comforting. When you've got a bad shoulder and you can't swim and things like that, he's going to find a way. And so when you sign that kind of a deal between 2 men, and one of them's that dedicated, the swimming part becomes reasonable.
Mm-hmm. You talk about pausing and reflecting in your life about achievements, and you got to that particular race in '88. You won, and the continuous improvement by Laurie was there a point there where you paused and reflected and said, we've done it, and then Laurie just turns around and, right, we've got another Olympics to go to? Like when did you stop, or did you just go, that, you've done it, mate, this is great, and let's have a little bit of a break now?
Yeah, I don't think it's in your nature as a relationship to do that. I think there's some constructed breaks, but the next mountaintops, here we go.
And how did that feel with you? You got to the top of the world, confusing. And you've done it.
At times,
and now you're
confusing.
like, okay, what next?
Yeah, but see, these are the routines that you're used to, because you go to your districts, you win it, and he goes, right, on to state. You go to state, you win it, and he goes, right, on to nationals. And at 18, I went to the Commonwealth Games in 1986, and I won 2 gold medals there. And the gold medal in the 400 metres freestyle was my big sort of international success story coming out party. And so we won that, and I won it in a 3:52. The world record was 5 seconds faster, owned by Vladimir Selnikov. So in 1986, at 18, I'd reduced my best time by 4 seconds, won the gold medal for Australia. And I'm sitting there, and we'd been out on the night before. We're just about to go out because I'd finished swimming. And we're having this really reflective moment, to your point, and that's why it reminds me of the story. And I'm sitting there, and Laurie's looking at me, and he goes, how good is it, mate? Gold medal for Australia. First time out in the big stuff. And you've hunted down a gold in the Com Games. How's it feel? And I'm like, unreal. And he goes, 2:52, best time by 4 seconds. How's that feel? And I'm like, pretty sweet. And he goes, you're standing shoulder to shoulder now with all the people who've won a 400 metres freestyle at Commonwealth Games. That must be pretty sweet. It's a good crowd. And I'm like, it's a great crowd. And he goes, yeah. 18 months till Seoul, mate. Do you think it's good enough do you think 3:52.4 is good enough to beat them all? I'm like, no, mate. He goes, no problem, mate. I'll see you in the morning, 5 a.m. Let's go.
Right. So there you go. I was almost on the mark with the gold medal.
And then, we walked across the road to the gold medal pub in Edinburgh. We stayed there all night, and I came back straight across the road because I left my gear at the pool, jumped in my togs and did an 8K session day 1 on the march towards. And this is 2 days. 2 days after winning gold. And Laurie was like, let's go, mate. No one's going to wait for you.
Where'd you leave your medals? Back at the hotel?
Yeah, no, I just sent them all back with the manager.
Yep.
So
had a great time. I've just got to go to the pool.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you should be at the pub? No.
Yeah. No, it was all good. Like, it was the forming of a great story. It's a are you going to flinch? Will you blink? Is the grog more important? Are the crowd over at the gold medal bar more important? Do you understand the mission? And are you brave enough to sort of start a story today that in 18 months' time might get you the ultimate prize? Are you going to flinch? And so, it was like it was one-upsmanship for sure, because he set me up, and now he's basically given me the offer. You're good enough to start tomorrow.
And coming into the final of the 200 and the 400, what were you thinking in your head around, I'm just going to give it my best shot, and if my best shot's not good enough, I'm okay with that? Or are you going, no?
No, you don't get in that mindset, mate. The mindset goes like this. My training times coming in for 3 weeks are indicating that I'm red hot, right? So I'm going to get a drop. And my time might drop far enough that you can't beat me. But we know we're going to get a drop. So then it turns into the contest. I'm good enough to take these blokes on toe-to-toe. I'm good enough not to look at their scrapbooks, reputations, or give a shit. I'm now fast enough in my test sets that if I get up on the blocks and I actually have the race that I can do now, the rest is just basically flows, right? The results take care of themselves. But there's your mindset's not even in basically the finish. It's in the execution. It's like the finish is part of it, but you're now not looking at the man. You're now looking at my lane. And if I don't flinch and I use this as my weapon and I don't actually look outside my lane, I win. So you don't get, maybe if I do, maybe if I don't, all of that is in there, okay? But you just don't address it. You're that mentally strong enough and fit enough, and you've done the psychology and you've been here for years, okay? So there's no difference between...
But you're only 20, don't forget.
I know, but I've been at this for 5 or 6 years, and I've been kicked in the teeth and had bad races and shit myself and stuff like that. So I've had every type of race you can pick, and I've had the flow state. Okay, so that's what I'm heading to. I'm an experienced campaigner at 20. I am. Yes, it's my first Olympics, and yeah, it's gargantuan and the 4-year clock,
No,
and
just Matt
the
beyond
pressure
it,
is going to
yeah.
crush me. I get all that. But I've got a guy in my corner and I've got teammates in my corner who've been there and done it. So this is business as usual for them, and I'm with them, right? So I'm not addressing basically my lack of experience. I'm not addressing, hey, this is the first time I'm doing the Olympics. I'm taking it in going, wow, the Olympic ring's on my chest. It's exciting shit. I get it. And I'm drawing all that excitement into it going, I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss. But I'm not then putting the other in it, what if, right? It's just doesn't exist for you. You are never going to address that heading into an Olympic Games. And if you do, you're not set. Okay. And that's what I was taught. And that's what I knew. And so I was fast, like faster than I've ever been before. Like we're going to get a major drop here, and I've already got a pretty good time. Like I'm Commonwealth champ, right? Commonwealth, best in the Commonwealth, not Commonwealth champ. So I'm going to beat that. I know I'm going to beat that. So that's all upside, right? But then I'm going so fast and I'm like, well, why not? Someone's got to bloody win these races. Why not me, right? So that's our mindset. And I've got a guy and I've got a setup and I've got a routine that's all about me. And I've honed it for years, mate, at shit meets and big meets. So I'm at my best. I'm the best version swimmer of myself, and my times indicate that I'm actually better. So it's all upside. You walk around completely bulletproof. Nobody is, people could shoot a gun at you and you'd be Superman. Think, not a problem. You're that big, you're that strong, you're that in flow. And everything is just like, I'll give you an example. Everything goes into protecting your legs and who you are, right? Now, it's a 500-metre walk to the pool. We were behind a fence, right? The pool and the village behind the same fence. But it's a 500-metre walk. And Seoul was like Darwin Heat, right? So we ran for a whole year getting our legs ready for that 500-metre walk because we found out it was going to be a walk, right? So we've done the work. We don't have to search for a solution. Then we get to the apartment building. It's 23 stories of the Australian team. There's 2 lifts, right? So we're on floor 13, three floors for the swimmers. There's 10 floors above us. The lift is full all the time when you want to go to the pool because everyone's going off to do warm-ups.
At the same time, probably. Yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
And they're tiny lifts, right? So I would take a book out to the stairwell and just sit there. And it'd take me 40 minutes to get a lift, and I couldn't give a shit. Okay?
Whereas other people are starting to get a little flustered.
Yeah. Well, they're getting flustered and they might walk down the stairs.
And then there's some more energy burn.
Well,
Yep.
then you get sore legs. Like I'm primed for 4 laps, not 10 stories, 13 stories. Not a chance. Not a chance. I didn't even dream about walking those stairs. Not a bloody chance. But I'm seeing 3 of my opposition.
How do you do that research to get to that point?
No, well, you accept
that.
it. Well, you know what your legs can't take, so you just don't do the activity, right?
Yep.
And so with all the running that we did, okay, and it was just slow, 6Ks after every session, just what we need, more aerobic work, right?
Yes.
And so we're doing 10 kilometres of pool and a 6K run every day. The rest of the Australian team are watching us do it, and they're going, what are you running for? I'm like, oh, it's going to be a walk when we get there. And they just didn't take it up. They didn't rate it and take it up. Now, I saw 3 of the opposition that I was racing in that race that takes 1 minute and 47 seconds, all sweating and trying to get bikes and golf carts to the pool because they knew they were shot. They knew their legs are not going to, and they've got to do this for a week. We'd been there for 10 days. So, we sorted a lot of the small things, the 1%ers out before we got there. And then our attitude towards protecting your legs and protecting your 4 laps is paramount. Instead of going down to the village and getting all the free Reeboks and cheap Reeboks from Eat to One Village and everything like that for 10 days, I sat on my bed, I went to the food hall and I went to the pool. Didn't leave the village because I knew that and I was excited to get down there and get all the cheap stuff for sure. I was a poor kid from Rocky. I had $300 in my pocket, I think, for the Olympics. That was it. And I really wanted to get down there because once the Americans got there, the bargains were over, right? So, I had teammates coming back, boxes of Reeboks and everything like that, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because
so you're in the zone.
Exactly.
But
it's discipline
on the blocks and then into the race itself. What's going through your head? What are you thinking in your head? Is it just going, you know what to do? Or like, oh shit, they've come out fast?
Yeah, it's all execution. So the fastest swimmer in the world, Matt Biondi, got beside me in lane 5 after the heat. So I was in heat 14 up against the world record holder, Michael Groves. And I pulled up 15 out. I just swam in, didn't strike the wall. So broke the Commonwealth record, dropped my time by 2 seconds, got lane 6 in the final, fastest final in history. 3 world record holders, the 100, 200, and 400 world record holder win there, the European champion. And everybody else is the who's who. And, little old me, the Neville nobody in lane 6, okay, came from 48th in the world.
The two Germanys back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was West Germany.
Yep, East and West.
Yep.
There was only a West German in the race. The East Germans didn't do well in the 200, but they won the 400. So, that's what's the setup. And so Biondi landing in lane 5 for me, absolutely focused on what's going to be. He's going to take it out hard. He's going to try to steal the race. He's got the most blistering speed we've ever seen in our life. He was the Michael Phelps of the 80s. He was just the biggest stud in swimming. And 6'7", 6'8", big fella, bigger than Thorpe. He was going to push a lot of water forward. That was going to create a wave. The wave of the lane ropes weren't going to hold that wave, so that's going to give us an advantage. I'm not going to lead him in the first 100. He's going to lead everybody. So if I get in his trough, he's going to drag me out 2 laps in the first 2 laps, first half of the race, a lot faster than I probably would do on my own. So that's the advantage. So that's when the gamesmanship comes into it. But the focus I had the whole time was just execution. Don't flinch. Don't get scared. My legs were shaking on deck. I was nervous. My guts were just rolling.
Your heart rate would have been up.
Yeah. But see, this is where the lessons of legends and champions come from, and this is the investment that we do with our Olympians. Laurie knew Herb Elliott, and Herb, would have got bronze medal 36 years later after he won gold in 1960. He was that fast, right? Didn't get beaten in 1500 in his life, Marquee athlete in every way, shape, or form, and a legend of a bloke. And so we got selected. We're just about to get selected for Seoul. So this is about 9 months out from the gold medal. This is about January, height of the summer. We'll ploughing the work into us, and Laurie gets Herb to come and talk to us, the Lawrence swim team. And so we've got about 30 swimmers, hopefuls in the room, and Herb comes down and he does this exercise, and he goes, "Hey, I'm going to call you out, people who think they're going to win gold, and I'm going to get you to tell me what you're going to do behind the blocks and what you're expecting." So he calls me out, and I go, "Well, I'm going to do these ones to the Canadians, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to look at my girlfriend in the stand and blow her a kiss and all this sort of stuff." And, I just ham it up massively. And he's just on the ground laughing. He's just like, "You're not going to do any of that shit, mate." I'm like, "Well," and he goes, "No, mate.
This is not the 100 metres in the race, the sprinting.
In the sprinting. It's not on the track."
Yeah.
And he had a really good laugh about it. He goes, "I'll tell you what's going to happen." Then he just broke it down, right? And he got serious. He broke it down. He goes, "Mate, you're going to take if anybody gives you the opportunity to run off deck, you'll take it. You're going to be that nervous that you're think you're going to shit yourself and piss yourself at the same time. You're going to get a wandering groin injury, which is going to start at your ankle and it's going to hurt, then go to your knee, then go to your groin, then go to your back, and you think, I'm not going to be able to swim." He said, "Your goggles are probably going to break. The togs are going to be too tight." He said, "You're going to feel that you're not up for it." And he said, "It's normal," right? So I get out on deck 9 months later, and I get this phantom pain in my groin. I would have shit myself. I'd run off deck. My legs are shaking, and I'm not handling it. And because I could think about what Herb said, I was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It all became normal. And we just had to get in the water. And when there was a break, and back in the olden days, you're allowed to have 2 breaks. So people sort of fox and drag it out and push and shove you and stuff like that. So there was a couple of breaks, but, mate, I was good as gold. And, I just had to take the first 6 strokes and get under the armpit of the guy beside me, Matt Biondi, and my first 2 laps were sorted. And that's exactly what happened. And then when he started to tie up, because the 200's a little bit too long for him, he died right on cue. And I was away from him at that point and just steaming home. Mm. So our execution was absolutely perfect. And, I touched the wall and my life changed.
Did you know that you'd won?
Yeah, so that's my most vivid memory. My most vivid memory is having my head down in the 200 metres freestyle on day 1 at the Seoul Olympic Games at the age of 20. I've got 3 world record holders on my left, and I haven't breathed on their side on the way home, so I don't know where they are. I don't know if I'm winning or losing, but I put my head down.
That's not good for a person that wants to be in control.
Yeah, but I'm totally in control of my stroke.
Okay.
And my stroke means if I'm going my fastest, I'm breathing on my right. That's my stroke. So I'm not going to swing my head around and ruin my rhythm. I'm just going to take them on, right, and not flinch. So it's about that again. It's about, am I in control, not to flinch, not in control of them, right? And so with 12 to go, I put my head down, 10 strokes to the wall, touch with my right hand. They're all on my left. I touch with my right hand. I know my hand is on the wall. Okay, I'm done. And I look over and the water is still smooth. No one's arrived.
Is that an analogy of life, to swim your own race?
Yeah, like there's a lot in that. And swimming is one of those individual
peak.
sports where it just presents it.
What do my competition do?
Yeah.
What's going on over here?
What I think of people will not make me swim faster. What I think of people won't make them swim slower.
So you put your head down and you went for it.
Yeah.
And that's
like
life.
I'd practiced 2 million times.
And then your life changed. You mentioned your life has changed, and it did change.
Yep.
And how did you deal with the cameras, the press? The only gold medal, only medal in the 88 for the swimmers?
Only gold medal.
Only gold
medal.
So
I won a gold and a silver, and we won another.
The
bronze.
media's just gone. Duncan Armstrong, where's he come?
Yeah.
Bang. How'd you go? How'd you cope?
It was all a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I didn't have the skill set. It was great. Like a lot of it was really exciting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, really exciting. To be the center of attention was really, really good. Was what I wanted and what I thought I needed to be a little bit more complete and all that kind of thing. It didn't turn out that way. Look, fame promises so much and delivers so little. Okay, but
the moment didn't. The moment delivered.
Oh, absolutely, mate. You know, like everything you'd ever read about, heard about, or watched on TV happened to me. It was amazing. Like everything that I'd heard other champions talk about that euphoric moment, about the car crash, slow motion scenes, it all happened to me. You know, like I can remember swinging around and looking at the scoreboard, and it had D. Armstrong, AUS Australia, and there's this number one flashing, blink, blink, blink.
In slow motion.
Blink, yeah. And I'm looking at it, and then the letters WR just flash straight up. So there was a world record. You're now the best in history. You've won Olympic gold medal at a full strength Olympics, because we had boycotts in 80 and 84. Yep. So this is the first time East versus West, neutral ground, let's go. Everybody showed up. And so it all just came together, bang. And so your subconscious, the moment that you've been basically planning and imagining and
those 6K runs,
yep,
right?
All of it.
To walk the 500 metres and the elevators reading and all, yep.
Every single part of that investment is now a reality. So it shifts from your subconscious dreaming and into the real, and you sit there going, well, and the transition is what slows everything down. And, you know, like I've got photographs of myself getting out of the pool and grabbing my Australian teammate, Tom Stakovich from WA, and lifting him up almost above my head and putting him down. I can't remember seeing it. I remember having interviews with the American broadcasters at the time, and I can't remember having them. I remember walking in and putting my tracksuit. I can't remember walking in, putting my tracksuit on, or doing the drug test. The first time I come back to actually outside my body and back in, I'm walking down the pool deck, and Dawn Fraser is way up in the press, and she's running down because she's had a few. And she is rolling down the ground, and I think she's not going to stop. She's going to hit and probably land on deck 2 meters down, right? But anyway, she pulls up, she looks at me, does a thumbs up and goes, "Welcome to the club." And I'm looking at her going, "What are you talking about doing?" So I still don't get it. I walk all the way around the back of the block, back of the dais, and I look up and then it lands, right? So it's about 10 minutes later.
10 minutes.
And I go, "Oh," and I look up at Dawn, and Dawn goes, "You did it." Yes, that's right.
You were just, taking it all in.
It was just all around me. It was just all over me and all around me, but I wasn't computing yet. And Rod McGeoch came and gave me my gold medal as an official for the Australian Olympic Committee. Then he went on to win the Games for Sydney 5 years later. But Rod McGeoch gives me the gold medal. He goes, "Well done, mate." And I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." I just had no idea what was happening.
With age, does it get better?
Yeah, of course. Like you get more reflective. So you run through small moments, big moments. You get in contact with people's moments. So they give you their memories of standing in the stands and what was happening all around me in their moments, because they've had an Olympic moment with me as well. And we do that with rugby league. I was in the stands when, and I remember, Brett LeMans scoring the first try at Lang Park for the Broncos in 1988 to get us underway.
Against Canberra. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
No, it's against Manly.
Was it Manly?
44-10, because they were the reigning premiers, 87.
Maybe Canberra was the away game. Can't remember. But anyway, yeah.
So
88?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. March 88.
Big year for Brisbane in 88, by the way, Expo. Yep. As well.
It was awesome,
yeah.
right? And so much happening, right? So as you get older, people then supply their memories, and then you unpack, when you see 10 years after 1988, we had an Australian reunion with the Australian team, and our masseuses, Sue Stanley and Dorothy Foley, came along, and they were part of our performance staff. Dorothy was a top-level physio and things like that. So they'd take care of the swim team, and you're having 2 or 3 massages a day. It's terrible. And so my routine was to get in, warm up, come for a massage, see Laurie, go down to the ready room, and you do it, and you're ready to go. And, that's the final help you can get, because as soon as you walk in the ready room, that's it. Everyone's an enemy. So I'm lying there, and I was the only one up for that first race. So I had 2 masseuses, one's working on my calves, one working on my back, and we took a sports scientist away, a very famous sports scientist called Jeff Bond. And Jeff did amazing work with Pat Cash to win that Wimbledon title and stuff like that. Jeff's an eminent psychologist, sports psychologist, kind of defined the whole era for Australia. And Jeff comes along and he goes, okay, Duck, you're about to go down. What do you reckon we should talk about? Just to invest. He's excited, I'm excited. But I'm lying there and I'm totally in control. I am laser focused, and there's nothing touching the sides, right? And apparently I roll over and I go, well, I'll tell you what we're talking about, Jeff. How about you fuck off and I'll go and win a gold medal? Good enough? And he goes, good enough. And he walked off, right? And both the girls were like, so now I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
I have no recollection of talking to Jeff.
Yep.
But the two both Sue and Dorothy came up and were having a couple of champers at the reunion 10 years later. And she goes, Dunk, my favourite memory is you going to tell Jeff Bond to fuck off. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you don't remember that? I said, what are you talking about? Then Sue's come over and goes, oh, what about when you told Jeff? And I'm like, what are you two talking about? And they told me the story, and that's their story of the moment and stuff like that. So you get a lot of that later, and you when we get excited as a fan in the crowd, it almost gives us permission to use the word we. Like I talk about the Broncos like we won last night. We scored this, we did that. We're 5th on the ladder right now. We're 3 ladder spots higher than we were last year under Kevy. So Madge keeping his job. So all that we. And so I've had a lot of those moments, which I treasure, because the effect that you have on people going out and doing your job can sometimes be exciting for everybody.
So. And now in your profession and what you do, people hear the word Duncan Armstrong and they think swimmer. They think, oh, well, the gold medalist. I'd like to hear him speak about that. Duncan Armstrong, the swimmer, versus Duncan Armstrong, the non-swimmer. How have you dealt with that identity?
Yeah, look, it's a journey. It's a journey for every elite athlete or professional athlete. You have to come to terms with yourself, because one career is finishing, and the career is basically what's defined you. And I had trouble with the identity that the swimming gave me, because you'd walk anywhere and then people say, what do you do, mate? And you go, I'm a swimmer. Everyone lands it, because swimming in this country, everyone's done it, right?
I used to swim.
Yep. And then you say, not as good as you.
Not Friday night swim club. I did that. I did it at school.
What was your favourite stroke?
Freestyle.
Yeah. What did you like about it?
Oh, it's just, freedom.
I felt
control.
No. I felt the same way.
I didn't compete. I played cricket.
Okay.
In the summer. It was cricket or swimming. It was a bit of a hard, and rowing as well nowadays. But I didn't swim. By the way, I was just mimicking what people would say. Is that right?
They're great.
Yeah.
TFC. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. So let's go back to the conversation. How does it go?
Oh, well, people say, what do you do, mate? And you go, I'm a swimmer. And they land it. They go, and then the next question is, any good? And you go, yeah, not bad. And that's all I had to explain about myself. When I stepped away from the swimming, I lost all that. And so people say, what do you do? What do you do with yourself then? And you're like, oh, I do a bit of telly and radio, and 3 minutes later you finish. Trying to tell people what you do. So Australians have a really curious and, I guess, pigeonholing way of dealing with each other. And they go, what do you do? It's really just like, how serious do I have to take you? What you do defines you. And and I wanted that. I did that. I was a Nazi about that.
Do people go, what school do you go to? That's a bit of a Queensland thing as well.
Brizzy's a school town, and Sydney's where you live.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So all about the suburbs and stuff like that. And
then they go, oh, when they hear something.
Oh, totally.
They go, oh, yeah.
I was like next door at the coffee shop. You got a coffee machine? Yeah, I got it from Aldi. Oh. It's fair enough. It's how we are. And I'm brutal at it too. I pigeonhole people. So getting pigeonholed is, kind of just deserves for what I do. And that's the way we are. We've got a chip on our shoulder as Australians, and we're desperate about how we look to other people and how much we've got, and we say
the tangible things.
Right? Yeah. And
which brings it back to the world of AI, that things like that now, that actually winning a gold medal is something which no one else can ever take that away from you.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's an interesting technology future we're moving into, right? And it's something that I told my boys the other day. We went for a hike up in Mount Barney and things like that, and they're bitching and moaning by about hour number 7, soft. And I said, yeah, but you've seen something today, no one can take it away from you. And they're like, oh, yeah. And we swam in the creeks and did all these sort of things. So we had this big day out. Yes, it was a bit physically taxing by the end of it, but when you have an experience, you can't take it off you. And I was told that growing up, and I really didn't understand it, because I was still in that mode of sort of like winning. This is never going to stop. I don't really need to think about my future. I'm doing something I love, and it never has to stop. Age and injury is never going to catch me, right? And older guys would say, no one will ever be able to take it off you if you win this race. And I'd look at them and go, what are you talking about? Why is that important? But as you get older, you think, okay, I gotcha. That you've seriously invested in work, done hard work, and you've got something out of it. And Dougray can take that away from you, right? But that also speaks about a lack of maturity in terms of your emotions, that you have to go to that to feel complete or something or important or whole or things like that. So, what I've learned outside the water is easily more than what I've learned in the water. It's definitely helped me, but I've done a lot of journeying through alcohol and drugs and, mental challenges and emotional challenges to get to a point where I think I've got a pretty good grip on who and what I am and what I offer, especially to my family, children, got 5 of them. So I'm prouder of that journey than probably the journey that made me famous for those years. And it's not a destination thing. It's a continuing journey thing. So I've got a lot more to learn, but I'm really enjoying the process of the people that I'm around now, the work that I'm doing, and the place in society that I have.
When you were 20, you were talking about being in the zone and being, fiercely determined to achieve your goal. Where did fun come into it at all, and life post that? Yeah. You're very serious to kind of win a gold medal, but then you're a fun guy. Do you like having fun? Did you have fun swimming?
Yeah, my dad has got a great sense of humour, and so the Armstrongs, we love our jokes and we love chipping each other and stuff like that, and we've always loved humour. My kids love humour because of me. So that sort of flows downhill. And then my coach, Laurie Lawrence, loved humour too. So he's a very, very entertaining and funny guy. And he brought, like I said before, he brought a lot of entertainment to a very boring sport. I'm very grateful for that. But we're always up for it. Well, always up for a laugh and fun, things like that. So I've been very blessed with the main influences in my life, the 2 Lauries in my life, my father and Laurie Lawrence, that they've both got a wicked sense of humour and really enjoyed coming from, the humour thing from 2 different sides. So I've applied that and I've always used that. And I always felt swimming was fun. Like, when I was a younger bloke, I would swim 10 kilometres in the morning with Laurie Lawrence yelling at us, play in the pool all day, and then wait for Laurie to come back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and beat us up again. And I'd do that 2 or 3 times a week. And Laurie would look at me and go, "You've been here all day?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's been awesome." And he goes, "Okay, let's go." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go."
There was never a moment of...
Oh, there was tons of moments of hate, There was tons of moments of being sick of swimming, can't look at swimming. I heard an AFL player, I forget his name, but I was on stage with him. That's good, isn't it? And he said this great line. He said, "I loved every single minute of playing footy until I couldn't stand playing footy for one single minute."
Right, that narrow, like going, right,
Yeah.
just this,
And
I
that was
hate
it.
this, I just can't do this
And,
anymore.
and it's a beautiful
Retirement.
saying, right?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
And I felt that way, when I retired from swimming and I got this beautiful
92,
photograph getting
yeah.
out.
No.
93. Yeah, so I got
93,
out of the water after Nationals one time, knew I was retiring, and someone snapped this shot. And I've got this look of pure joy on my face that I've kind of completed it. And I go back to that AFL player saying, like, I couldn't stand another minute of swimming. I was such a classic burnout. My body was saying, I don't want to do the work anymore. My mental state was all over the place. I couldn't, compete with the young blokes coming through like Michael Klim and Grant Hackett and these sort of guys. It was my time, and nothing was going to make it better or lengthen it. And, there was a few things going on in my personal life as well, divorce and things like that at the time. So there was a lot going on. But I remember listening to this AFL player's one-liner, and I'm like, that's actually it. That's the arc. You start out, everything is possible, reasonable, and this is what we do, And then it sort of starts to get more complicated until you end up at the other end of the bell curve, at the arc, hating it. And it's torturing you to a point that you can't stand it anymore, and you must run away, or you must leave, or you must do something else. And my temperament is not for coaching, not for anybody else's dreams and emotions. So I was never going to stick around swimming. And then the media showed up. And then all of a sudden I had this real purpose about storytelling and commentary that absolutely lit me up again in the same way as the 13-year-old was in swimming. So I've had these two wonderful careers around swimming, one as a participant, one as a commentator, that I just treasure.
Mm. And do you enjoy what you do now?
Yeah. I enjoy storytelling, hosting events, doing panel facilitation. I enjoy bringing my energy and my gregarious to microphones in any way, shape or form, whether it be commentary, commentating on the radio, commenting on the radio, commenting on television, fronting for charities, fronting for corporate partners, being a representative. So I'm articulate. I've got a good skill set. I love people having a good time, and that translates on the microphone.
What's the key to being a good facilitator?
Being a fan of the people you talk to. I think digging into it, doing the work. So again, it comes back to how much control do you have with knowing your subject, and then getting them to open up and tell their stories that they find interesting, and the audience catches it. So you're not there for the audience as a facilitator. You're basically there for the client, which is the person you're talking to. If you can open them up to be at their best in their flow state, the microphone catches it and everybody else does. And then you get, these magical moments where they tell stories they've never told before. They share things that are really insightful, that absolutely light up the crowd, whoever the crowd might be. And, you're talking about, achievers. And achievers have always got something to tell, whether you're in the corporate space, the leadership space, the sports space, the political space, the music space, the arts. Doesn't matter what space you're into. If you've invested work in it, you've got something to share, because you can argue about colours and footy and politics, but you can't argue with a person's story, because that's all they've got. And if you're good enough to get their story out of them, their hard work and their investment, their life lessons, we can catch. And that's why we like long form podcasts, because it just goes for 3 or 4 hours sometimes. But no one can read a book, but we can listen to that for 8 hours, because the way we can consume medias and people's story. And everybody is attuned to this opening of every speech. Once upon a time, right?
The end. At the end as well.
Correct.
Yep.
So you start any microphone work with, hey, I'm going to tell you a story, or once upon a time, or let me tell you, this is what I learned. Everybody's all ears. We are attuned as people to listen to stories. We are attuned to it, right? And unfortunately, no leadership manual will tell you to do that. So CEOs, managers, GMs, they stand up and go, right, now what I wanted to talk to you about today, or something like that. Or this meeting is about, everyone just goes,
one of the pet hates I love is like this will only take 45 minutes. I mean, I might have said that to you this morning, the podcast or so, but, like people go, or this is a 12-minute read. You're like, oh, 12, no thanks. They do that on some of the articles now.
Yeah.
You're like, no, too long.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. If I read it, I'll enjoy it. But, So,
and if leaders got it there and say, hey, I'm excited to be talking to you about this story, you just bring them along. Everyone's like, oh.
Yep.
But to your point, if you start boring, you start boring.
How have I gone so far?
Mate, you've killed it. You've got a great guest. And
who? James Armstrong? No. What's his name?
And he's carrying you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a sore back after this.
Well, I've got a sponsor now.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. Swyftx.
That is
my friends at Swyftx.
That is a huge step, because when you're getting paid for the stuff you love.
Oh, it's, you didn't get paid for what you love, did you?
Yeah, I got paid.
Did you get a gold medal bonus?
I did.
Was it meaningful?
It was to me at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
1988. Yeah. Inflation.
Yeah, I had no money in Seoul, and Johnny Coates was our chef de mission. And he gave me $1,000 cash in an envelope.
Cash.
In 1988.
After tax. In an envelope.
And I went out and bought everybody I knew a pair of Reeboks. Went through it in 2 days.
You didn't go to the freebie demo Olympic thing and stashed a whole
Well,
lot
that was
of it.
coming. Yeah, we did. I got freebie everything. Okay, so I didn't miss out. And I'm very, very grateful to the power of a gold medal. I was very well taken care of in many, many different ways. And I'm very grateful for all those moments. And it definitely set me up financially and definitely set me up on the road to, moving into the media and stuff like that. And that set me up further. So I've been very, very, it's been very lucrative, and I've got what I deserved.
Yep. Okay, there you go. So back to our sponsor, by the way,
yes.
Swyftx. We've got
Speaking of investing,
yes, that's right. And we've got a new segment on Scoreboard called the Bucket List, and the Bucket List is your
Swyftx bucket list.
The Swyftx Scoreboard Bucket List on a sporting event, because crypto can take you anywhere. Where you'd like to go and watch sport in an event or somewhere or something before you leave this earth.
Well, my bucket list will basically include my whole family. So the Tour de France is on at the moment. Pogacar and Jonas and these sort of guys are amazing. So my bucket list would be recruiting Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie to be our tour guide for 3 weeks, my whole family, at the Tour de France.
Right.
Not bad.
Hey, get an inside.
Yeah.
Inside.
Like, it'd be like running around with Jack Sparrow.
How do you reckon you'd play it? Yeah, that's right. Do you reckon you'd play it with the wine and the cheese and just do all the bells and whistles, or do you sort of like no?
I would have.
so
cycling. Moving back to control, I would have an agenda every day that the kids and I would be able to take part in. So the wine tours would be going one way, and the cheese would be included in that. The cyclists would be going the other way, and then we'd all meet at the finish to watch the sprint to the finish and all that kind of thing. Then we'd get the chopper back to the hotel off the hillside or away from there, because we wouldn't be doing the
You've already got your
traffic.
Accommodation sorted. We
wouldn't be doing the traffic.
Oh, right.
Okay, because the traffic around tour is supposedly really, really difficult. So we'll be doing the credit card tour with the choppers.
With Lance.
Yeah, with the choppers and going back to home base. And I'd be playing golf with Lance because he loves his golf. I'd be playing golf every other day. We'd be going out for part of it because, like, the tour is segmented that up that you can ride on the tour in the morning, because the tour starts mostly at midday every day for television. So the course is open very early. So you can ride a part of the course or the whole course, whatever your fitness level is. You can go out and ride the stage today before the real stage gets started. So there's all these ways to enjoy the tour. And I think my family would get a real kick out of it. It'd be a bucket list of a lifetime.
You're an early person, I've noted. Yeah, I've met you a few times, and you're pretty early.
I was early today.
You're punctual.
I am.
Is it one of your traits, one of your strengths?
Yeah, it's one of my control mechanisms. I love being on time.
Do people out punctual you get earlier than you? And you're like, was Laurie early at the pool and you were early at the pool? And you kind of went
was
a bit
maniac about it.
You're like, I'll meet you at 6 and you're there at 5:20. Hey, Laurie, how you going?
Yeah, well, I had a podcast with Laurie about 2 or 3 years ago, and he had something to do today. And so I said, why don't we do it at 6? Because it was summertime, the sun was up, it's all good. And he goes, I'll be here at 5:30. And I go, I'll be here before you. And, and I get on at 4:30, he's on. So
I've heard stories of NBA, the high performers.
Yeah. Because they feel, I feel that I'm sending a clear signal when I'm on time that I'm ready to work. I'm sending a clear signal to myself
and to me this morning,
and anything I'm doing that, hey, mate, this is important. I've got it in my diary. It's that important. It's my diary. So, that's just the internal drive. And, mate, some of it's healthy and some of it's not healthy, but it's definitely the way I function.
The two final questions. One is your the all-time favourite sporting moment that doesn't include yourself.
Yeah. Anything Wally did. Yeah. I'm a mad
What
Wally
about when he
fan.
went to the Gold Coast?
Oh, I didn't mind. He was working at Channel 10, catching the chopper down to training to play with the Giants. I didn't mind that. He was still a superstar.
Yeah.
Wally Lewis was waiting for me when I finished swimming because he was working for Channel 10. His first job in 1988. He was on the pool deck in Seoul. And I walked off the deck and he's like, and I'm finished, right? So I'm allowed to go and party now. And he goes, you ready? And I'm like, let's go, right? And it was a dream come true to hang out with Wally.
Did you go out that night?
Yeah.
With Wally?
Yeah. Went out all night. 2 nights in a row, 3 nights in a row. It was amazing.
And the medal was around you the whole time?
Yeah, no, we were flashing it everywhere.
Yeah, of course you were. But then you didn't have any instances of like, shit, where is it? You always
no, my medal got stolen in 1996. I lent it to the Australian newspaper.
I haven't done my research on that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I lent it to the Australian newspaper and someone in the Australian newspaper's building just walked out with it. So I lost my gold medal, got a new one. My wife wrote to Lucerne and they made me up a new one and I'm very grateful for Becky for doing that because now the kids have got something and I show other kids. But I would send my medal to schools right around the country and it would always come back. So for 13 or 14 years, it was never a problem. Never a problem. Then all of a sudden someone's flogged it from the Australian newspaper. Can I say the Australian newspaper one more time?
Yeah.
Didn't get a sorry. Didn't get a...
From the Australian?
Yeah, from New Zealand. Didn't get anything. Didn't get an apology. Didn't get...
Nothing. Just disappeared.
They wouldn't let the police in the building to interview people. It just... Very un-Australian for the Australian newspaper. The Australian newspaper.
One final question.
Yes,
there's a 14-year-old kid in 2025 that wants to win a gold medal, wants to be a professional athlete. We're living in same but different times. What's some advice you want to give to them now?
Oh, that hard work equals success. That discipline equals freedom. You know, if you put enough discipline in, you're going to be free to make choices in your life forever. Swimming is a very well-supported sport. You're going to find professionals in swimming. Did you say a swimmer?
I said swimmer or professional athlete. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you're picking. You know, Australia is set up for success if you're willing to do the work, right? And you can live your dreams, okay, with the right amount of work. And we've got all the support in the world for it. So there's nothing stopping you. And we live in a privileged state down here. It's a Goldilocks zone, Australia. You know, if anybody is sitting around complaining about Australia, they're not paying attention. You know, we have got that much support and that much opportunity and that much freedom that, you know, you really can go and do anything with your life. So I would say to the young athlete,
14-year-old, yep.
Yeah, young 14-year-old, world's your oyster. Go hard and see where you get, but learn how not to flinch.
And what about the mid-40s person that maybe has a 14-year-old that's wanting to do sport as a parent? How do you encourage? What do you say these days? Do you push a bit hard or you back off or let them be?
Yeah, well, so you know your children already because you've already raised them till they're 14, okay? But my advice to parents is this: get out of the way. Find the environment, do your safety qualifying checks. How do the kids in the environment, you know, the players talk to each other? How do the coaches let the players talk to each other? How do the coaches talk to them? What are the parents' influence on the club? Is it structured well enough for your precious cargo, your child, to be in that? And then find the most qualified person you can, and then have a relationship with them because they're going to have a relationship with your child and you're going to get out of the way. If it's an early morning sport, buy them an alarm clock straight away. Let the coach dictate how many times they're going to go to the pool, and then they've got to wake you up. You're a taxi and you're a pantry. That's it, okay? If you get inside that dynamic, it's about you. But if you let the coach or the staff run what they need, the dedication part, then it's about the child. So I have lots and lots of swimming parents come up to me and go, hey, I got this 12-year-old, how many times a week do they swim? And I said, what does the coach say? So again, you're all over it for support. You're all over it for paying attention. You're all over it for safety. There are predators in Australian sport. It's reality. It's up to you to find them, okay, and protect your children. You've got to be there and dedicated and devoted, okay? But you have to keep it in balance, because if you start making decisions for your child, they're not going to make the open ranks. They're not going to be good enough.
Duncan Armstrong, thank you so much for coming on Scoreboard today, the podcast, and sharing your views of your life and all sorts of things, from the early days of swimming and rugby league to gold medals to where you are now. I really do appreciate taking your time out, and looking forward to catching up and following your progress.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.